Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to do a check-in of Prrt and Olivier in America. This is by Peter Carey, historical novel following Olivier, who is definitely a kind of a historical jazz improvisation of Alexander de Tocqueville, and Prrt, a humble British dude whose father was a printer, part of a forger operation that got busted, and he got thrown into the company of Monsieur, this Frenchman who turns out to be Monsieur de Talbot, who along with Olivier's mother assigns him to basically be his spy and keeper as they send the liberal and rather basically despised by both the aristocracy and the kind of the revolutionary lower classes away to America to investigate prisons in America, to improve the kind of the conditions of French prisons, or improve how they work or make them more efficient or something like that. Don't know if it's actually to make them more humane or anything like that. So in these sections, what we get is them getting on board with Prrt's mistress and his mistress's mother, Mathilda, who is an artist, painter, and indeed I think I described in my last thing, which is just a thing on page 124, I think, was this whole thing about the portraiture. Now Prrt gets really pissed off that Olivier tries to seduce his woman, throws the portrait overboard, and indeed they do another portrait, and Olivier seems to be kind of under the impression, I'm going to prosecute Prrt, that he's my enemy. And indeed there's this whole sequence where he's writing this whole thing, because Olivier insists on having him take his dictation, where he slanders and basically badmouths Prrt throughout, and Prrt just sort of takes over at a certain point, and it's like, this is not your son talking, this is the Prrt, the guy who he's bad mouthing, but your son is a complete fucking idiot trying to take my woman and stuff like this, which I think he ends up carrying up, but it's kind of this wonderful kind of fictional thing. But they get to America, and Prrt is like, yeah, well, fuck off, I'm going. But the thing is that all of Olivier's financial instruments are actually to be co-signed by Prrt, so he is penniless. In this situation, which is something that he is basically financially unmanned as he comes to the heart of a democracy that's all about financial stuff, and is thus kind of thrown in upon the kind of mercy of various other people he finds there. Americans who find him being an aristocrat strangely he'll put themselves at his service. First Peak, the farmer turned banker that he meets on board, and then an Irishman whose name completely escapes me at the moment, who is helping him, and who arms him with a gun. And we have this wonderful sequence of like, this is the greatness of America. It's embodied in this great gun that they've made. It seems like a kind of like a Colt. It's like, it's something where it's the kind of rudimentary thing of a bullet versus having to pack something down. And so he's armed this way, which comes in handy later, because they're accosted by a couple of dudes who try and kind of rough them up, because Prrt and Olivier end up kind of together. Olivier actually did try and help Mathilda when she was what seems to have smallpox or something like that, but Prrt finds that's kind of really useless help, and he ends up kind of basically smearing her with olive oil, and she lives through it. Says, yeah, olive oil, that cured her. And then she's not disfigured like a lot of people are with smallpox. Maybe just one off the nose, a little bit off the nose, but that is it, which is, I guess, quite fortunate. But yeah, they get into this tussle, and Olivier pulls out a gun and shoots one of the guys in the shoulder. At which point we drop away from anything from Olivier's point of view, and it's Prrt, and Prrt fucking gets incarcerated. He gets put into the tombs, as they are called, apparently so named for all the suicides that have happened there, and we go from there to him kind of having a flashback of being yet again on the run as a child with Monsieur de Talbot, and he's got this whole thing of they overlook the thing, and he seems to be spying on all the ships, and he sees a horrifying scene. He sees like groups of redcoats marching prisoners around, 4 prisoners and 4 yellow coffins between them, and he looks at the front one, and it's his father, and it's like he's being led to his death. He's, there's 4 prisoners, 4 coffins, or basically I assume they're just gonna execute them right over top of their coffins and then pitch them in. He's taken away inconsolate. Monsieur bribes a English ship to take him. Monsieur has taken the strategy of pretending he's mute and having Prrt basically say everything for him, and he's got this ironclad grip on them. And they get on the thing, and Prrt is just violently sick, perhaps of grief, perhaps of just being on board the ship and just being completely ill that way. Let's park here. And that's where we sort of leave it. And it's like, are they going to Australia? That seems to be, I don't know. They have a conversation over dinner, which I'm trying to figure out, which I actually might go back to, because it's one of those conversations where stuff is going on. Perhaps Prrt himself, as a young boy, does not understand exactly what this conversation is, and definitely I don't as a reader. So I'm probably gonna, when I pick up the book again, I'm gonna reread that conversation and try and figure out what's going on there. So yeah, that's my check-in with Prrt and Olivier in America, which we're well into the book, page 100 and something into the book, and they've like just gotten into America, and then we're getting flashbacks of back in England, and escaping England for whatever trips this British vessel is taking. There's a clergyman at the table. There's a Yorkshireman. There's apparently prisoners on board. Maybe they may be going to Australia and taking the prisoners to a penal colony in Australia, where I guess maybe Monsieur is hoping once he's escaped there, he'll be able to kind of make his way back to France, as they obviously do, because that's where in the present of the novel, where it opens, is Prrt has been working for Monsieur for a good long time, and is now like a man in his 50s. So it's like, decades and decades of work of the only one who is his friend is the enemy of England. Peter Carey's language is just is quite amazing. There's this description of just like kind of all the boats packed in the harbor, and it's like they're kind of humming like bees, kind of swarming, vibrating around each other, and it's like the hive activity of this harbor, but it's told in such a way it just feels like kind of this living kind of organism of a hive of this British port. But it also kind of captures that sense of the kind of this just horrible malevolence that is there as well, this seething quality, this alien quality for a little boy, who's just seen his father get consumed by this beast, which is the the English state, the English government, the king, you know, God save him, I won't, I think is one of his thoughts here when thinking about the king's prisons that have consumed his father. So it's interesting. Prrt is very much the kind of the serious, kind of anguished feeling part of this book, whereas Olivier is much more the comedic, the foppish idiot, and who has his observations, but is definitely much more, I feel like, is played for laughs, which, you know, kind of makes sense with our thing of what Olivier knows. And though it's interesting, like him super admiring that gun, it's like, oh, that's a double-edged sword, you know, the American invention, and especially using the gun like kind of some proto Colt 45 as well. That's completely archaic, but some kind of, like, you know, really good at making firearms is something that's going to, it's like, yeah, that's a great innovation of the United States, and also one of its great curses of, you know, this violent gun culture that we have today. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.